Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Pursuit Live. I'm your producer, Chris. Joining me, as always, is your creator and my co-host, Mr. Dave Hawkins.
What is up, everybody? Happy Friday night. Thank you for joining us again.
And I think we have a great guest for you tonight. This is going to be an interesting conversation, so I hope everybody is ready. We have Miss Heidi Stout of The Light Ranch and Encounter Outdoor. Heidi, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys. I'm so excited to be here.
So I know this has been a little while in the making, so we're, it's tough. Don't get me wrong. We do run a live show, and it's not like this is recorded. This is it. This is the time. So it's been a little rough trying to get you on. I'm happy we could finally get you on. So thank you for taking the time out tonight. And I don't know. What do you guys think? You just want to dive right into this?
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I appreciate it being patient. Like, my hunting season was kind of a priority. So
Absolutely. We get it.
Well, I mean, we get it. We get it. Unfortunately, this is my priority. Dave attempts to hunt and then comes on the show on Friday nights.
That's it.
So I don't know. Let's dive right into it. I mean, we got a lot to cover tonight, so let's hammer it.
All right, Heidi. So I think me and you were going to start it off, and like every show, we like to give the guest a few minutes and really just explain their background, explain what got you outside, what got you hunting, what really kind of paved the way for yourself to be where you're at today, with all the great organizations you're working with, and all the companies and the connections you made throughout that journey.
That's a loaded question, and I don't know if we have enough time for that.
We got plenty of time.
We got all night.
Wow, to take a step back, I grew up in Phoenix. I'm in Idaho now. Like, I was raised a city girl, did not grow up hunting. We went camping and, explored outdoors and things like that. But probably, I don't even know how long it's been, maybe 6 years ago or so, I got divorced and, found myself a single mom, 4 boys. And my oldest at the time, this was like 2020, I think, right around that fun COVID time, he said he wanted to learn to hunt. And I'm like, okay, sure, let's do this. And so I kind of started my Encounter Outdoor Instagram page and was like, I'll just document us learning to hunt, and didn't really have any sights on anything. And he wanted to bow hunt. And my sister and her husband bow hunt. And so I kind of asked them some questions. I mean, I'm in Idaho, so everybody hunts here. So just started asking people questions. And we think we went out once that year. And literally we went and sat on the side of a hill, did not see anything. And I'm like, okay, this is it. And then the next year in 2021, we went out with them. And our very first time out with my sister and my brother-in-law, my sister and I split off from my son and my brother-in-law, and I thought it was gonna be like the last time. We were just gonna sit there all day and see nothing, and within 30 minutes a bull comes in. And this is the newbie. I didn't have a rangefinder, didn't have nothing. I sat there, recorded this thing broadside for 5 minutes, like what I would give for that opportunity now. So nervous trying to figure it out. And then that bull ended up walking off. And so we went on, it was across the creek, and went across the creek. And within 10 minutes of sitting across the creek, a bear comes charging down at us. And I'm like, is this what hunting's like? Like, I'm hooked. Like, this is the best thing ever. And it kind of just spiraled from there, and kind of found myself, loving to hunt, and just learning, but I was doing it on my own. And so that's really hard, especially bow hunting. Like, I didn't own a rifle. My friend helped me get a used bow. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to invest money. I can do this again. Fast forward to the end of 2022, beginning of 23, just kind of doing that a little bit on the side, but I had some past trauma from college, and went through really hard depression and just a hard season. And I didn't really know what was going on with me at that time. And, kind of had made the decision that I felt like I didn't want to go on anymore. And, obviously I have 4 boys that I want to live for. And I just knew, like, okay, I needed help. And so reached out for help, and kind of in all of that, just really immersed myself even more in the outdoors. And between the outdoors and God really showing me that, hey, like, you're going to use your story for purpose. That's kind of where things started. And I says, okay, I want to use that story for purpose. What does that mean? And so I went back to my Instagram page, and I was kind of writing a blog too, a little bit, just randomly here and there. Like, we went to a campground, here's that. So I started rebuilding this whole page. So in June of 2023 is where I really kind of went all in. And I don't even know what's happened in the last year. And you guys can cut me off if I'm talking too much.
Oh, no, this is what it's all about. Good.
And so in June of 23, I launched, and I have not since then, we're November of 24, like, I don't even know, like, it's been a wild ride. December of 23, like, I just started making connections with people, and, the page started growing a little bit. And, for me, like, the community and the connection is huge. That's why I love social media. There's a lot of bad things on social media, don't get me wrong, but I love, like, seeing people succeed and learning from people, and just, there is so much positivity out there. And then in December of 23, Cryptic reached out to me, and I don't know why. I mean, I say it's everything I say is just all God. I give him all the credit and glory. Said, hey, we'd like to take you on our Legion team. We see what you're doing. And I'm like, I have not killed a thing. I don't know what you're doing, but okay. And so, and before that, actually, I had killed one thing. I'd killed my mountain lion, and that's all so far that I have harvested. And then I went to the hunt.
Well, not for nothing. That's a lot more than most people can say. So.
Yeah.
Well, I say I do it backwards, because I know I've had very experienced hunters be like, I haven't even killed a mountain lion. I'm like, well, I work backwards. I'd like to start with a little deer, and
that's not something to breeze over, though. Especially archery hunting. It's any harvest you get with a bow. It is you've earned it.
That was with my rifle.
Okay. Either way, it's a hell of a harvest. So
yeah,
it's a tip of the cap.
It was so much fun too, and we can definitely talk more about that, because that was a wild day, because I was out by myself that day. Well, and I hunt, and now I mostly hunt solo. But yeah, Expo came, and I just made a ton of connections with different companies, and there's just been a lot of companies that have believed in me, and just some amazing women that we've really just kind of bonded through our own personal stories, and we're each chasing our passions in different ways, and so we're just supporting each other. And I've kind of told myself, just say yes. And so, like, that's kind of been my thing, is just, if an opportunity comes, I'm going to take it. And I've just met, like, people that I was like fangirling over. I was like Jana Waller and stuff. I interviewed her for, and I'm on a podcast, and I co-host a podcast now too. Like, those are people that,
What's a podcast?
It's just this thing that I get on and ramble. I hope somebody listens to me ramble. So it's just, like, it's been amazing. I feel so blessed. And, like, some days I'm like, you hear those quotes, like, your life can change in a year. Like, I'm like, no, it really can. Like, going from what I felt like was just the end of my ropes to where I am now. And it's, just continuing to grow from there. And it's not easy. It's definitely has its challenges, but and hunting is not easy either. But that's a whole other. So it's kind of my rundown, my quick rundown.
All right.
Well, listen, not for nothing. You've officially made it in life. You're live on Pursuit Live. This is as good as it gets. All
I
right.
mean, I'll write the book now, right?
I mean, well, see, we kind of have to advise against that because once you write the book, then Joe Rogan's going to want you on, and that's our biggest competition. So,
I don't have time for Joe. Just you.
Well, I mean, there's obviously like there's something that got ignited in you, like the passion is there. So like when you were second guessing yourself, like why are all these people reaching out to me? There is more to just getting animals on the ground, getting the Euro mounts, getting the taxidermy done. There's so much that leads up to that, and it's very obvious that this has truly become a part of your lifestyle. It's a part of who you are. You're sharing it with your family now, so that is a big part of what Chris and I, when we started this show, we wanted to get back to like the basic roots of like what this all means to us. Yeah, we're on that chase. We want to get those great animals on the ground, but it's more to it than that. And then
some of us
okay
want to get those great animals on the ground, Dave.
So like, and especially with your story tonight, like it goes so much deeper than just the actual chase, the actual hunt. We can use this for other means in a positive way. And we've had other guests on with similar stories, and there's something about being out in the wilderness, being out in the woods, whatever it is, you find that peace that you don't find in a lot of other places. And I'll speak for that without a doubt. It's some of the best therapy you can get, just being out in the wilderness by yourself with your thoughts. And I mean, what's better than watching the woods come alive, or watching that sun come up over the mountain range? It's not much better in my book.
No, I would totally agree. Like, I mean, I'm so blessed because I live on about an acre of land, and so I can go out in my yard and shoot my bow, and like that's my sanity moment every day. Is just even if I can just fling one arrow,
like,
it just kind of centers me and calms me. And I work remotely now too, and so like being inside by yourself all day. I start to go a little crazy, and I just realize like you need that break of fresh air, and it does so much for us, just mentally, emotionally, just but physically also. Just getting out and being in the outdoors, like I think that's it's how we were designed to be.
Do you have a preference at the moment, whether it be archery hunting or with a rifle or a shotgun? Do you lean more towards the archery side of it?
Well, I went on my first bird hunt in December, and I'm sure they would tell you I was off. I mean, I got one. But I'm horrible. It's a totally different, like I am like a hands-on learner. And so it takes me like huge time to process. Same with, I went bow fishing this last summer, and like, you have to unlearn everything you do with your bow, like to do that. And so like, it took me like, I'm like, I'm going to get off this boat and be the one girl that doesn't get, hurt here. So like it takes me some time, but archery is definitely like I get out as much as I can in September for elk as like humanly possible, because there's just something, it's quieter. There's not as many hunters. I mean, it has increased a little bit. Like I'm blessed that I can go for 45 minutes from my house and be in the elk. So nothing to complain about there, but there's just something about that as opposed to, out during rifle season hearing the shots.
Yeah, you said you're in Idaho, right? Yeah. I've heard so many. I've never been there personally, but I've heard a lot of hunt, like that's home base for a lot of these elk hunters now, and it's like you said, it's right in your backyard, so it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, like I can go fish, fly fish. I can the ski hill's like 20 minutes from my house, so in the winter I go and do that. So I find something during every season to keep me outdoors, but I get to keep up on. Like, and I mean, we went through the time where you couldn't even get ammo barely here. So like coming to shoot my guns, I was like, well, it's probably not, rather hold on to it than go do some target practice, but I get a little bit in, but I can go fling an arrow every single day if I want to, which is great.
it's a very primitive connection. You know, Chris and I have both said that at different times. It really having that stick and string in your hands. It really, even though the technology's come such a long way, that's how we started. That's how we evolved as a country, as human beings, as a civilization. That's really where it all started. And anytime you go out in the woods on, attempting to harvest an animal with a bow, you know it's going to be a close encounter. 50. Let's face it, out of the 1,000 acres you're on or 500 acres you're on, to get them, let's say, within 50 yards, you're doing something right. And that's why it's so humbling and it's so gratifying when it all comes together.
Yeah, I had an experience this season where it was the craziest thing, but there was probably, I think, 6 bulls. Like I was like in a circle of them around me, and some like I didn't even know where to go, and they were just bugling all over. And the one, it's hard because the trees are so thick where my little spot is. But I had one that was like 30 yards, and I got to full draw, and I couldn't range him, and then finally he stepped out, and I ranged him, and then I got to full draw, and he stepped forward, but he was 30 yards, but they were all within 150-yard radius around me, bugling, and I'm like, this is like, you don't get that during rifle season. Like, no. It's just like heart pumping. Like, there's just no words to even describe it.
What do you got, producer Chris?
Well, I do want to preface something, Dave. That in reference to your previous statement, no, this country was founded on guns, not bow hunting, Dave. All right. We founded this country on guns, and we took up bow hunting as a hobby.
Okay.
Let's get one thing straight here.
All right.
But I do have I don't want to get too much into your personal story here, Heidi, but what part of Idaho are you in? Because a lot of people, when they think about Idaho, they don't understand just how mountainous it really is. Now, what part of the state are you in? Are you up in towards the Panhandle, or are you in the southern part of the state?
I am in the southeast corner, so I'm actually. People are always
the perfect part.
Yeah, people think I'm closer to Boise, but I'm actually closer to Salt Lake.
Yeah. So, for those of you that aren't geography bee champions in elementary school, that's where she is actually closer to Montana and Yellowstone, and it's, if you want to talk about prime hunting territory, that's it. You want to talk about the dream world, forget about Colorado. Southeast Idaho is it.
Yeah, everything's at your fingertips. I mean, everybody vacations in Island Park that lives here pretty much, and so there's tons of bears and amazing fly fishing, and anything you want is within your reach in this corner of the state. Just not shopping or restaurants.
Yeah, but who needs that stuff?
Yeah, we can do it. We're all right without
That's what the internet's for.
Yep.
That's what Amazon and hunting is for.
Yep, exactly.
So I do want to ask you a couple things here before we kind of get into a couple other topics. Now, you're a big bow hunter, and as everybody kind of could guess, we also are huge enthusiasts of archery. I do want to get into a little bit about what was that spark? Really, what drove you to bow hunting, and what kind of keeps you going in bow hunting throughout, from when you started to today?
I think, like, for me, because like I said, I do most of my hunting solo now. I mean, my boys now, between jobs, and they are all competitive in soccer, like their schedule, like I'll show up at soccer games in camo. I kid you not.
What's wrong with that?
I'm like, that's fine, whatever. I have priorities, people. But like, I think for me, like, besides that time out with my sister where I was like, okay, this is like adrenaline pumping, the more I started doing it by myself, like I remember going out, and because like a lot of women will ask me, like, how do you go out in the dark, and like those type of things. And for me, it's like a growth, and I like pushing myself to see how far I can go. And how much harder of things I can accomplish. I still, haven't gotten to the level of bow hunting that I want to, because I'm, and I was really hard on myself. I'll be honest, I was really hard on myself this season, because the more you learn, I'm not as, naive to like, I'm like, oh, I heard a bugle, that was like I'd spend all day and I was excited about that one bugle. And now it's like, if I didn't see an elk, or if I didn't get an opportunity, or, then you're kind of like disappointed. But I think
I don't want to interrupt you, but I do want to say I heard my first bugle in 2009, and it's getting on to 15 years. And I'm telling you, when you hear that first one, it doesn't matter if you've heard one or 100 of them, it's going to get you excited. So please don't keep that mindset of, oh, it's only just one bugle. No, that's it.
No, I still get super excited, but like my day was okay. But now it's like, okay, where are they? Like, I've got to make and you got to figure out all these other factors that you now are more aware of. But no, I never get like, it's the great. I mean, I put my cams out in July, and then like going to get my cams and just seeing them, I'm like a nerdy kid, like screaming because I've got an elk on my camera. But I think it's the challenge and the growth. Like, I've seen myself evolve, just being on my own. Like, hey, if I can accomplish this, what else is it that I can accomplish? I can do hard things. Like I said, I haven't gotten to the level that I want to, but I'm not giving up. And until I get to that point, and I want to be able to be a successful hunter where I can provide for my family and those type of things. But for me, it's really just the growth as an individual. Like, I don't do well with complacency. I don't like to just be this stagnant person. I'm always kind of like, okay, reach this, what's next, which can sometimes be a curse. But I think that was it. And like you said before, there's something so organic about bow hunting, and that time just really like centers me and calms me. Like, whether I'm shooting in my yard or I'm out just in the mountains by myself. And I will say, when you're solo hunting and you're out there for 15 hours by yourself, you do some days go a little crazy. Having too many conversations, but I try to take a book or something now.
You're never lonely, though.
No.
I've talked to myself plenty of times, in the truth. And some interesting arguments you can have with yourself. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. You make a bad decision and you can sit and relish in that for hours on end.
Oh yeah.
As to that stupid mistake you just did, and you spooked them or whatever.
What's one weakness that you think you've improved on already? From the beginning of your hunting journey.
What's one
weakness that you've improved on already?
There's like 5 million, honestly. I mean, not that they're like at the top of their game. I mean, I think just knowing my bow. I switched my sight this year. I went on an axis deer hunt in Hawaii.
Nice.
And like, one of my favorite things is spot and stalk. Like, I love to see how close I can, like,
yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, if somebody's in a hill watching me, Lord help me. Because I will be belly crawling through the dirt and the sagebrush. Like, I like that challenge. Like, I don't know that I could ever be a tree stand girl for all these Midwest and these other states. That, like, I don't like sitting still, blinds and all that. I mean, I do it, but I love the challenge of that. So like, I've gotten really close to a lot of animals, so I feel like I'm getting pretty good at the stalking. It's
good.
Closing the deal that is like my next step. But I think besides that, just knowing my bow, like, I went from a used bow that like I was trying to make it fit to me, and now I have a bow that fits me. And the sight I switched to, like, I remember it was funny because I had a guy message me that followed me for years, and I had like 100 followers. It was probably mostly family. And he's like, it's so crazy because I had put on in my stories that I was shooting 90 something yards. And he's like, I remember when you were scared to do 50. And I did 30 and 40 over and over because I had like a fixed sight.
Right.
And I was so scared to, like, every time I adjusted it, it was like starting over. And, now, I don't have a fixed site anymore, so I can just adjust it. And I went to my first tack, and I was, shooting these long ranges that I'm like, holy crap, like I can't believe I can even do that.
Right.
So I think that was a huge, huge growth for me.
I did see that on your page. Which tack event was that you went to?
Big Sky.
Okay.
And I'm waiting for them to announce it because we're going to be this our girls trip, and we're doing it again this next year. So we're counting down the days to go. That was so much fun. I didn't know what to expect because none of us had. Well, one of the girls, Elena, had done it, but none of us had done it. The rest of us, and it was so much fun.
Either Chris, have you ever done a tack event?
No, I haven't done one. Me and Rob were actually talking about doing it last year, but it didn't line up because of a trip I took out of the country.
The Africa trip. You went to Africa, right? Well, there's a big one in Pennsylvania, I think, right?
There's one in Pennsylvania and Vermont up by us, and we were trying to make plans, and it just Cape Buffalo hunting came up, and sorry.
I think they just announced the Pennsylvania dates. I think those are on the books now for this next year. But what
do you think the biggest challenge is for a tack event? Is it just straight up how long of a day it is and the miles you're walking?
The 100-yard steel?
Steel
plated 100 yards.
There's different courses that you can do. So like the first day we did one, I think we had 26 targets. We were like one of the last groups, so we took our time and had fun. But they're obviously not all ethical shots you would want to take hunting.
Sure.
And but so I think that's kind of the challenge, is just the distance, and then like where they like in the trees and stuff like that. So I went really prepared that I was going to lose. Like I was like, after the first day, I was going to have no arrows left. Like the mindset like that we were all talking. And I think I lost just one that day.
That's good.
It was really good. Like they kept telling me how good I was doing. I'm like, shh, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, let me just get through this day because I don't know what's going on.
Probably, what do you need? 24 arrows to play it safe if you're going to be there for a couple of events?
Yeah, I think that's what most people say. They take like 26 or so. Or
bring 50.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to have a backpack full of arrows at that point.
Well, and then we were collecting them because then people I think people went with that mindset and then they just left them. So they're like,
really?
Yeah. And so I'm like, that's a perfectly good.
Right.
So the girls were like collecting them. So I came out with a ton more arrows, which I still
It's like when you're golfing and somebody leaves a Titleist laying around. I'm like, I'm going to scoop that bad boy up. Good to go.
Yeah.
So no, I think I would definitely try a tack event at this point. And honestly, I was in the same position you were. I'm still shooting an older bow. I gave it a serious overhaul last season, but I went from a stationary pin to now I have an adjustable trophy ridge sight. And, with the help of Chris and Rob, the guys on my team, I was shooting now out to 60 yards. Obviously the groups need some improvement, but I had never done that before. And that's where the technology with the bows, it's really amazing when you're ready for it and you're ready. Some of the stuff is an investment.
What do you know about bow technology, Dave?
Yeah, you taught me a little bit, man. I'm growing.
Just step your game up,
man. But it really is like you said in the beginning, you weren't sure where this journey was going to take you, and that's a perfect way to get into it. If you have the means to get a used bow or a hand-me-down bow, without a doubt, there is nothing wrong with that. As long as the limbs are good, the string's in good shape, it'll get the job done. And then as you progress along the way, you buy a piece of equipment. It can be very intimidating to a new hunter. Like, oh, I got to buy all this shit just to get out in the woods. No, just pick the most important things just to get you out there, get you going, and then maybe the Cryptek clothing comes a little bit later down the line when you're ready for it.
Yeah, I feel like, so when I started before Cryptek, I was like, okay, I'm just going to get something each year
right.
to try to, because obviously, I don't have the means to, and there's so much pressure on social too, like if you don't have
right.
the top of the line, and you got to ignore that stuff a little bit. There is good products, when you spend the money, but to just get out there and do it, you don't have to have all of those things.
Exactly.
Well, you sure look cool doing it while you have it.
This is true. But I would say too, though, if you are starting out, find a shop that you feel comfortable with.
Yes.
Archery Idaho here in Idaho has been so good to me and so patient. Like they've never once, especially as a woman coming into like a very male dominated area and arena, like you sometimes it can be intimidating for some women because you can get taken advantage. It's like going into an auto body shop as a woman and they're like, oh no, you need to fix, all of these things. And, you really don't. So find a shop that you feel comfortable with. And they've never once made me feel stupid, for the questions, and never been like, oh yeah, you have to have this thing, I'll be like, will that work for, this price? Do I need that? And they've always been super honest with me, and like, I'll keep spending my money there because, they treat me like that. And I know they respect me and are going to be honest, not to just, make a buck.
Well, I think that's with the area we're in. I'm glad to see it changing. I hope. I hope that really that stigma isn't there anymore. I mean, there is so many ladies, women, old, young, whatever age demographic, whatever. They're in the woods and they're getting it done. So, I mean, I really hope there isn't that stigma much anymore. I'm sure it'll happen a little bit, but
I'll be honest. So, and I don't talk about this stuff a lot on social because I don't like to, like my social, I like to keep positive, and I don't like, there's so many people rant and stuff, but you get, you get a lot of, oh, you're an Insta huntress, or you're showing off your body, or, you get a lot of those comments through, DMs or just comments on your posts. And it's disheartening because you'll have guys shooting their bows with their shirts off and nobody's making those comments. Are there people on both sides that are trying to do that? Absolutely. But it is hard because there is a lot of assumptions that we don't know what we're doing, or, and I'm first admit, hey, there's a lot I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm open about that and I'm learning, and I'm not out here trying to look like I'm something that I'm not. So, unfortunately it is there, but there are a lot of really good women that are fighting for, positivity and for change in that, but definitely can't say we're totally there yet.
Well, I hope we get there sooner than later. But you touched on a good point. When you're not claiming to be something you're not, like we talked about this again, people aren't stupid. If you claim to be something in this industry you're not, or you're just trying to get out there to be Instagram famous and claim to be this world-renowned hunter that goes to Africa all the time, people are going to smell through the BS, and people don't enjoy, they don't want to follow an account that's not true. When you stay true to yourself and who you are as a person, then that's where people really enjoy, and it's genuine at that point.
Yeah.
You know what else people enjoy, Dave?
What's that?
Trophy Cape Buffalo.
People who don't have technical issues during a show like I'm having right now.
People enjoy SCI record book kudu hunts on video.
Yeah.
Was yours a record hunt?
It was actually my kudu was.
He did pretty good. I'll give it to him.
50 and a half inches. So it totaled out to what, 120? I think 125 total. It was SCI silver, and my Cape Buffalo was SCI gold. It was 45 and a quarter inch spread.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you. At least somebody appreciates safari hunting around here.
She doesn't have to work with you every day.
Saying.
Yeah. All right. So I think at this point of the show, Chris, why don't you step in a little bit? There's two different roads we can go down, either the Soul Summit podcast or the Light Ranch. So between Heidi and Chris, I'll let you guys take over the next segment there.
All right. I do want to ask my trademark question.
All right. That's a good time for you. You can do it.
All right. So I ask this of everybody. Besides your license and your weapon, obviously, what are 3 things that you have to carry with you on every pursuit?
These are like...
And I saw the eye roll there. Why is it that every guest, it's like this catches them off guard, and they're just like, what?
Because you don't know how hard it is for me to make a decision. That's why I go into a restaurant and order probably the same thing almost every single time, because like you're just.
Well, there you go. So the same 3 items that you carry in your pocket or your pack every pursuit. It should be.
Besides my weapon or what?
What's that?
Besides my weapon or what?
Besides your weapon and your license, the obvious. What are 3 things that you have to carry with you on every pursuit?
Okay. Well, snacks.
Need snacks.
Okay.
A mapping system for sure. Just because I'm out in, the middle of nowhere. So mapping system, snacks. Oh gosh, I don't know. This is tough. Probably a book of some sort.
A book?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm out there for 15 hours. It's that or my sleeping bag where I can take a nap.
All right.
I like that.
Listen,
Snacks, sleeping bag, and a book. I'm going hunting with you. That sounds good.
Don't feel bad because I've been hunting for 24 years, and there's people that have been hunting 3 times as long as I have that I've asked that question, and they were absolutely stumped.
I mean,
So-
logical answers would be like a first aid kit and those, but I'm like, if I can eat, I can get my map and have around, and I have my weapon. Like, really, what more do I need?
A knife, binos, and a compass.
Which mapping system do you use? You using Onyx or using a different platform?
I used Onyx to start, but this year I started using Spartan Forge, and I really do like Spartan Forge.
Even that in itself, as a new hunter, getting to learn the mapping software, actually learning, I don't know if you knew how to read like topo or elevations or anything before that. That all comes with it, and you're self-taught for the most part. I'm sure you had help along the way, but all those little things that you've been able to accomplish and check off the list, it's not easy. No,
it's not. And I mean, I ask people questions and things like that, but I mean, it's trial and error when I'm out there. It's hiking in, and like I remember, like I was saying before, I don't think I finished, but I remember sitting in my truck and getting to the trailhead and be like, I'm gonna wait till it's just a little bit more light.
Yeah.
And then I'll go out. But now I'm like, whatever. Like, it doesn't even bother me. I know my area so well. If I go to other areas, I'm probably a little more apprehensive and things like that. But I know my area super well, and so it's just a ton of trial and error, and you have to be okay with making mistakes. And I've made a million, and I will continue to make a million. That's, I don't know. There's something.
Same here. So
I was gonna say Dave's been doing it for 2 decades, and he's every day it's 24 mistakes. So don't sweat it.
You learn more from your mistakes sometimes, my man. So
it was like last week, and my sister called me when I was on my way out there, and it was like a big snow day out here. And my sister's like, seriously, like, don't go. And I'm like, no, like, it's Saturday, like, it's open weekend. Like, what am I gonna,
Yep.
It's like she's like, I'm starting to think you really like to be tortured. I'm like, I think I kind of do. Like, I like to. The elements are fun. Like, I'm, when people are coming in when it's raining, I'm staying out there because I kind of I like to see how much I can handle. And it sucks sometimes for sure, but but I like the push of that. I don't know why. It's probably
good for you.
Issue for that or something.
So, all right, Chris, let's dive into two of the next topics here, and these are important. We're going to switch gears a little bit, definitely, and I guess Heidi, you and Chris take it off, or whichever one you want to talk about, whether Lighted Ranch or the podcast that you're a part of.
Right, as Dave said, we are about to dive into the 2 most important topics that we can get into: Matthews and Sitka.
I don't have an opinion necessarily yet on bows. I shoot a Bowtech. That's what I bought when I invested my money.
Well, let me ask you this: does it work for you?
It works for me. It's a little heavy, this one, so I would like to go to a lighter bow. So if any bow companies want to send me something else to try, like, I'm game. By sight I won't, but Sitka, Cryptic, the companies right now that I see that are doing a lot of good, I would say, are Cryptic and Born Primitive with what they do for veterans. And I know the Whiting family that owns Cryptic, and they're just good people. And, people that support you and take a chance on you when you're really not anybody, like, that just means so much. Yeah. Like, I can't thank them enough. And they've been so supportive and so good to me and the other people that I know that are, on the Legion team. And, sometimes they get, I think, a little crap for that, oh, you're not taking real hunters. I see that so much on social. Like, real hunters. And I'm like,
Who is a real hunter?
the people that just have, all
Somebody
the,
define that for me.
yeah, but there's people of every level. And
Exactly.
not that I don't love seeing the people that are just absolutely killing it out there. Like, I follow all of them, but I like to see the people that are struggling too, and we're trying to learn, because for me, I can connect with those people as I'm on my learning path too. And so I think it's good to have a spectrum of people.
They're a very solid family. We had them on a couple episodes now at this point. Great episode, and it was great having them on. And we truly we respect everything they're doing. We respect what they stand behind. So you're in good company without a doubt with that brand. It's a family brand at that point.
Yeah,
That's really what it's about.
yes.
Especially when it comes to struggling hunters. Dave.
Man, you're on a tear tonight.
Listen, you wanted to poke fun at Safari hunting. We'll
All
go,
right.
buddy. But anyway, no, I do want to dive into some serious topics here. So before we get into the podcast, I do want to dig into Lighted Ranch a little bit. So if you could just kind of take us through a little bit about what is Lighted Ranch, and just tell us all about it. Tell us your story.
Yeah. So, like I said, kind of in the beginning, like, I kind of felt God was saying, hey, you're going to use your story, the trauma that you've been through, for purpose. But I had no idea what that meant. And so, back in 2011, like way before I was hunting and everything, I lived in Phoenix still, and I had come across an organization called Streetlight through my church, and they were starting a facility that took in girls that had been sex trafficked, and helping them rehabilitate them and get them back into society. Because what happens a lot, especially the ones that you're in their teen years, is they're taught to say they're 18, and so they just kind of go through the system and they get back out, go back out into the with their pimps and things like that. And that kind of got placed on my heart. And so I volunteered for a little while until I was put on bed rest for my when I was pregnant with my son. And so I kind of had to stop, and then ended up leaving. But that's just always been up in my heart a little bit. And so, after the Western Hunt Expo this year in 2024, I just started having conversations, and these people kept coming into my life. And I had a friend, and him and I, have been having these conversations just about, like, hey, like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I have this, but what does that look like? And so, like, I just had all these conversations. And then in all of these conversations and in other places, the word light kept coming up. And, I knew I wanted to do something with the outdoors and people that have been through trauma. There's some amazing organizations that do stuff for veterans. But there are people outside of the veteran community too that have faced different types of trauma. And there are trafficking is a huge crisis across, like, people like to think it's in third world countries and stuff, but no, it's happening in our backyards. And so I was like, what can I do to help people who've been through trauma like me, and then also help trafficking. And we came up with this vision of having this ranch where I can run these programs for archery, for hunting, for fishing, for skiing. Not everyone, like how archery is, really important to me and where I connect. Not everyone's going to connect with the same thing outdoors, right? And I was talking to a teen girl just recently, and I says, "What are you passionate about?" And she couldn't name anything. And I says, "That's what, and I think that's a problem, with our youth too, is they're so involved in their phones that they're not trying things to see what really gets their passion." And I says, "You've got to find a hobby and something to, turn that attention away from the things that are bothering you and invest that." And so I want to have different programs within this ranch. And like I was saying, the word light kept coming up, and that kept speaking to me. And so, just kind of came in a vision. It says it's the Light Ranch, and that's what it's going to be called. And so I filed my nonprofit for the government and, all the state stuff. And it was funny. I was driving home, I think from a hunt one night. I actually started crying, and I was like, okay, like, is this really what I need to be doing? And, I was praying about it. And then I had filed for my tax exemption. And I was like, all right, God, if this is what you want me doing, I need you to like show me I'm on the right path. And I came home and there was a letter sitting on the entryway table. And I opened it up and it was that I got approved for my tax exemption like that same night. I'm like, okay, all right, note taken.
Meant to be.
And so I've just had a lot of situations like that since I've started on this path, that these doors have opened and these things have just kind of kept telling me, okay, you're on the right path. I've worked in leadership for over 10 years now in some aspects in business, but, doing a nonprofit's a totally different beast. So there's been a lot of tears and late nights, trying to figure this out, but we're evolving. And a lot of good things are happening for 2025. And so I'm super, super excited.
All right, that was it. Thank you, folks. This was a great show. We'll leave off on that. I don't even know how to follow that, but no, it was.
I was like,
I will say, as a veteran and somebody who, listen, we've all been through our own troubles, and we all know, those of us that have been through our own troubles, we realize we're not alone, and it's not just our own situations. There are many people in many different backgrounds that have been through so much, and I just want to take a second and say thank you for what you're doing in that space, because it makes a difference. And whether anybody knows it or not, it may not make a difference to everybody, but if it makes a difference to that one person, that difference may mean the world.
yeah.
So
I said that, if I change one person's life or I save one person's life, whatever aspect, if you want to look at that, like, then I've done what I need to do. And the more I've opened up about my story, and there's so many people, like, people have just come to me with their stories, and I'm almost shocked how many people have been through similar things, harder things than me. And so 2025, there's different programs that I'm starting to run. I'm trying right now to raise a lot of millions of dollars. I have a property that I want to get. And so it's still for sale. I've been watching it like a hawk. And so, like, the fundraising aspect is asking for money is not my favorite thing. And so that's, one thing with a nonprofit that is hard, is raising the money and things like that. So I do have a property that, I'm looking at, regardless of that, there's projects that are coming on the calendar that we're going to do in 25. In May, I'm doing a women's summit. So we're doing 4 days of just community. We're going to be teaching different things, from elk calling to, a few outdoor adventures, and just really connection with each other and some really internal connection within ourselves. So I'm super excited about that, and have some good people that are, helping sponsor that. And we've already, I haven't announced it actually yet, but we've already gifted one trip to a girl who shared her story with me, and then getting ready to launch. I just really feel called to give away another one. And so we're gonna be doing a giveaway for that one, and get, another woman that has been through some traumatic experiences that, is just in need of something like that. So gonna do that, and, lots of other good things that are gonna be being announced over this next year. And I always say I'm along for the ride. But I really want to spend the rest of my life living it for purpose. I chased a career for many years of my life. I'm still only 29, just so in case anyone was wondering. But I want to spend the rest of my life living it for some purpose and trying to make a difference in the world in any way that I can. So, right now that's my goal that I'm chasing.
How many people do you have working with you for the Light Ranch?
I have a couple people that are, trying to help in some aspects. I have 2 other people on the board,
Okay.
but they have a lot going on in their lives too. And then, my girls are, going to help with the summit and things like that. But for the most part, I would say I'm doing a lot of the work solely, which between my normal day job, my Encounter Outdoor, the podcast, and then that, I'm not sure what sleep is, and hunting.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. That's honestly, when I get to work on that stuff, that's where I come alive a little bit.
Sure.
Minus the grant filling out and all that stuff. That's not my favorite thing, but I get excited about, hearing someone's story and then, talking through that and, them appreciating like, me just listening to them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not anybody really different than you, I'm just louder.
If somebody wanted to reach out, they just wanted to talk, vent, share a story. Can they do that through the Instagram page at Light Ranch? Is there a website? What would be the best way?
I mean, any way that works for people. So
Okay.
someone reached out to me through Instagram and then ended up emailing me their story. And then, on the website, we actually have a place like if you need prayer and you're in that traumatic experience right now, we have a team of women that are willing to, pray and, do what we can to, sometimes that's all we can do. But on the website too, there's contact information and you can reach out to me through there. And that's where we'll have the application for the extra spot that we're going to give away too will be on the website.
Okay. All right. Well, we got a little bit of time left. I guess we can wrap it up with your podcast. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I met Courtney Preet. I mean, honestly, most people I've met through social media, which is just crazy. And that's why I like to say, there's a lot of good that comes through social media.
Absolutely.
So I met Courtney Preet through her outdoor journey through social. She had actually posted that she was doing a Bible study. And I was like, hey, just do it. And we connected, between our stories. And then she messaged me one day and said, hey, I'm taking on a co-host for a podcast. And I was like, who am I? And so I applied and it's been so much fun. So this is my third season. We're in season 8 and this is the third season that I've been on for the podcast. And,
very good.
Yeah, I've had some amazing, Brian Barney and Jana Waller and just had Bear Handlin on from Born Primitive. And all my Chelsea Derry and Elena Johnson and just some amazing people and their stories. And that's one thing I've always loved in my life is just hearing people's stories. And they're all people that have one and have overcome. And those are the things that kind of keep me inspired too.
It's definitely a theme. If you give somebody a platform to actually, you give them the platform, you give them the time, and you give them the courtesy to actually share a story that they're very passionate about, it's amazing what comes out of people when you just give them that little bit of time. We've had some guests on, and obviously this is a non-scripted show. And Chris, how many times have our guests just absolutely blown us away where literally for 15 minutes, we're kind of just sitting here like in awe of what we're hearing because it's an amazing story that they feel comfortable enough to share. And we're just like, we could end it on that. And we're only halfway through the show.
That's
it.
Yeah. Shut up and listen.
Yeah. It happens more frequently than not. And we're just so appreciative that there is that comfort factor there. We're providing that space where somebody feels comfortable enough to share something like that, just like yourself today. So we appreciate that. This is, you touched on some personal topics. So, we appreciate you sharing that, having the courage to share it. And you're really taking this to the next level and doing whatever you can. And not a lot of people take it to that next level. So, we give you a lot of credit for that.
Oh, thank you. I feel kind of selfish in the podcast because I feel like every time I get done, I'm like, gosh, I got so much out of that for me.
No, that's what it's about.
It's for everybody else, but I'm like, I walk away inspired, and there really is something to say about the people you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
That lift you up. I could never be allowed to share like my chat with, the girls that I've met on social that are doing some inspiring things. But I will say like in our, group text, it's awesome quotes or, how much, appreciate you. And like, there's just so much positivity. And then, if somebody's having a rough day, like reminding us who we really are, and that, they're here and stuff like that. And that's what we need. We need more of that. And I see that in social is that people are craving goodness. They're craving that connection again. I think we got so pulled away with phones and social from each other that people are trying to get back to a little bit of that. where they can feel connected to each other, and that there is still good in the world, because I think if we all feel like that, if you go on there, you can feel like there's nothing good left in the world at all. It's funny,
Well,
not.
That's
It's
kind of
been a
how Dave
stressful
feels
couple of
like
years.
most of the way through deer season. He just there's nothing good left. Guys, I don't know
Well,
if
I mean, not for nothing. It's been a stressful past couple of years without diving into the politics end of it. Going all the way back to the COVID era, and then, luckily, elections matter. So we seem to be trending in a better way now. But that all adds to it. It's on top of that. It's just we're constantly inundated with just stress. We block most of it out, but it's still there. Our daily lives. So it adds up. Sometimes you just hit a wall, and everybody breaks down differently.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us human. We all have a breaking point. It's just natural.
Yeah, I try really hard now. Like, I just realize how precious life is, and so I try
Right.
really hard to check myself when I get in those moods or I'm going down those rabbit holes. And I'm like, okay, no, like, this is not how, like, as bad as it is, if it ends in a year from now or 20 years from now, I want to enjoy every second and live it, as best I can. And I know we always say that, it's so cliche, but there really is so much truth to that. And I also have to think too, like, gosh, our kids have seen a lot, and
Right.
how do I want them to see the world and, live? And, I want them to see people for who they are. I want them to love people like they should, and not walk around pissed off at the world every single day like so many people. It just seems like a sad way to live.
Well, being out in the wilderness, I think that's the most clear-cut, direct way to kind of get rid of all the extra BS that the daily life brings. You're in God's country out there. It's beautiful. It's Chris and I are stuck in the Manhattan area.
Whoa, speak for yourself. I was going to say, Dave, what do you know about wilderness?
A little bit. Like you're out there.
The first time that you ever hunted and never heard a car was when you came up to
That is true. It was
my
nice.
house this year.
That is nice.
That was like access deer hunting. It was so weird for me because there was 2 properties, and then one of them was like 7 acres. And I'm like, I can hear people talking and dogs barking.
Yeah.
Got my bow in my hand, trying to find, like, it was just really surreal. And then cars are going by. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like,
That's normal.
That's a regular season for Dave.
I've watched football from my tree stand before at somebody else's house. It's not bad. It's not a bad deal.
who is your team in New York?
I grew up a Jets fan, but I would have to bleed blue and red for my wife for the Giants. We're both Yankee fans, though.
So you're both Jersey fans. If I couldn't tell with that accent,
Yeah.
There's only one true New York team, and it's the Bills, which I'm not a fan of. I'm actually
Good luck. Try and tell Kate that. Go ahead.
I will.
All right.
Listen, I've known Kate longer than I've known you. We go way back. All right. So
Okay.
pump your brakes. All right.
Heidi, what's one goal for either a personal goal, like on your hunting journey, or the other adventures that you're on? What's one goal you have you really want to check off in the next season, next year?
I will die out there in September if I don't get an elk.
Okay.
I want an elk with my bow. Like, that's absolutely like my top goal for sure. And every year it's progressed. I think, first year I didn't even I think I drew my bow back, and so like this year, I think I drew it back 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
So it's getting those clean shots and, making an ethical shot, so I have a little apprehension there. So it's definitely good.
You got the improved bow, and it sounds like your spot and stock strategy and techniques are working. So I think it's going to work for you.
And get a wolf one day. Like, that's a huge list item for me.
That'd be pretty cool.
Not with my bow, but I would do it with my bow.
All right. And for one last time, why don't you list your social media for the Light Ranch and the Soul Summit podcast? Where can people find all of that info?
Soul Summit podcast. Easiest probably is just to go to the Encounter Outdoor Instagram page, and there's links in my bio for the Soul Summit podcast and the Light Ranch, because it's like the_light_ranch.
Gotcha.
So everything is linked in my bio, or you can go on encounter-outdoor.com. And that there's links to all my socials on my website, as well as to Spotify if you want to listen to the Soul Summit podcast.
Awesome. Got anything else, producer Chris?
I mean, listen, I don't even know where how to add to this. I don't know how we top it.
So don't.
All right. So with that, you heard it. Dave has the shitty season. Heidi says, "Listen, Dave, it's not so bad. Just hang in there."
That's it. We got a little time left.
Fun keeping on.
That's it.
That's it, Dave. Keep on keeping on. You're gonna
I like
be
it.
okay.
I like that.
Stop calling me and Rob when you got problems. Call Heidi.
Hey, fine.
I'll give you my number, Dave. You can call me anytime.
Well, we do appreciate you for everything that you're doing. You know, you have as far as the team here at Pursuit Live, you know, myself with Urban and Chris with Only Boast, you have our full support. Anything you need in the future from us here, just please let us know. We have no problem supporting. You know, anything we can do to help get the message out for you and your team, you know, we're here for you.
No, I appreciate you guys so much. You know, like I said, I'm humbled by just the opportunity. You know, people, when I get these messages, I'm like, you send it to the right girl. But no, I am just super appreciative and fully supportive of everything you guys are doing. It's so awesome. So thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Anytime.
And honestly, thank you. You know, thank you for taking the time out to come out tonight. We really appreciate everything that you're doing, and you know, me personally, I just definitely, you know, having been there, I want to say thank you for what you're doing for people who have been in that situation, and you know, keep doing what you're doing, because it does make a difference, whether you see it or not, and you may never see it. It does make a difference, and just keep going. That's it.
That's so true. Thank you so much. I needed that reminder.
Good. All right. Well, Chris, what do you think, buddy? You think we ended on that?
There you go. So, Heidi, if you could, just tell everybody where they can find your social media and where they can view some more of your content. Just one more time, please.
Yeah. Encounter Outdoor is my Instagram page, or you can find it on Facebook. But I'm most active on Instagram through my Encounter Outdoor. Like I have the Light Ranch one, and I'm on the Soul Summit podcast one too. So there's a lot of socials going on, but all the links you can get to or through Encounter Outdoor, and then the Soul Summit podcast. We are on Apple, Carbon TV, Spotify. You know, all the major platforms you can listen to us.
Nice.
Some really great, inspiring episodes on there. Not just mine, but Courtney's as well, because she's an incredible woman. And then Encounter Outdoor is just encounter-outdoor.com. Websites there, you can read about the Light Ranch and things that I have going on. Some good announcements that are coming out, and some programs that are going to be coming out for 2025. So, and if people want to connect and do something, you know, in their town or have ideas, like, I'm all for it. So I'm happy to support people that are, you know, on the same mission too.
Very good.
Well, with that, Heidi, I got to take a minute and say thank you for. We know it's been a little bit of a struggle to get you on, and we understand. Listen, it's a lot to dedicate one Friday night at a specific time to come on live. So, thank you again for cutting out some time in your schedule to come on tonight.
I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
All right. With that, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Next week is a holiday week, so we want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, as we will not see you before then. However, Pursuit Live will be back next Friday, 8 p.m., live, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you haven't checked out our YouTube yet, please head over to @Pursuit Live on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a dime, takes you 2 seconds, and it helps us out. So, Heidi, thank you. Dave, good luck tomorrow. Everybody else that's in the woods, please stay safe. Good luck, and we'll see you next week.